Sir, as it is not a new one, sir, as I have said that the conflict started back in 19th century and after the Suguali Treaty in 1816, which delimited the Nepali territories by the British Raj, sir. So what specific incidents would you like to mention, starting from the 19th century of these border clashes between these two parties, and how actually Suguali Treaty is important here?
I think you know that this is a border dispute, like any other border dispute. It's quite complicated in that sense. Like each party has its own way of presenting the case. But you are right. I mean, in the Suguali Treaty, which is a landmark, which was done in 1815, but it was ratified in 1816, and that is the time when the Nepal king and the that time colonial rulers of India, they fought a war. And that after that war, that was the Suguali Treaty, which gave that region, which the area which is being under dispute, to Nepal. But we need to realize that even if the treaty gave that to Nepal, it was the Britishers, like any colonial rulers, that they have messed up all over the world. So the treaty was not very clear. They kept the map hanging. They still ruled the place for a couple of years. Then when the Nepal objected, they gave that place to Nepal for some time, but also, it was virtually not being, at that time in the early 19th century, not many people were, the rulers had the possibility to govern that area. But by 1865, the British brought out a map, again put that area in the Indian side. So, the Suguali Treaty gave that area to Nepal, but in 1865, then the area Britishers brought it out. And that time, of course, the Nepal was actually, in spite of that, it was not directly an independent country, it was a protectorate. But the Nepal got its, its total autonomy again in the 1920s. India got in 1947. India and Nepal signed the friendship peace, friendship, whatever the treaty they call it, in 1950. So I think the mess was there, but it was never become a big issue. Till there have been also the confusion who was responsible for that area from 1950s to 1961-62, because that is the time when Indians claimed that they were in that area, whereas the Nepalis, they said that they are also in that area too, they have done the votes and all kinds of things. But since 1961-62, because this is a tri-junction, we must realize that this area is important area strategically. It's a tri-junction between Nepal, India, and to China or Tibet. And this is the height gives the excuse me, height gives the unhindered view of the Tibetan plateau. So I think it's a strategic area in many ways. That's what it has become the problem. But in 1962, when the China War took place, India-China War, that time Nepal, agreed for the Indians to put that army camp, and since then it has been under army or Indian control. And the conflict was nobody was talking about since late 90s. And then the situation came up. Then it became a dispute again because the Nepal went back to the Suguali Treaty. Indians said that they have been in control since 1960. So this was a kind of things which has basically also the idea was this Mahakali River. How to interpret the river. That has been the problem. Okay, so the river, like whether the river mainstream is the one which is the Nepal thinks that is, then because the catchment, if they protect the catchment, then of course it becomes the India's. So I think that has been the problem. And as you know, we can come back to these discussions at what is happening now. But this has become a big thing since November last year.